Deshaun Watson's first 8 games back with the Cleveland Browns. Starting off this segment, JT, I'm going to give you 2 players, player A and player B. I'm going to let you take a guess at which one is Deshaun Watson and who could possibly be the other one. So player A, 58% completion, 184 yards per game, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 79.6 passer rating. Player B, 62% completion, 219 pass yards per game, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and an 80 passer rating. This is the last 8 games, if I'm not mistaken, of these 2 said players. Which one do you think is Deshaun Watson?
I know for a fact player A is Deshaun. Or it might
Okay. Who do you think
it might be
player A is Deshaun Watson?
Okay.
Player A is
Is it
Deshaun.
Baker?
There you go.
I
No,
knew you was
not
finna
Baker.
do that. Or it's not Baker?
It's not Baker. It's going to blow your mind.
You got to tell me. Jimmy G?
Who?
No, Jimmy G. Thinking Jimmy G.
No, not Jimmy G. That's okay. This quarterback is unemployed. This quarterback is unemployed, JT. It's Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, in his last 8 games, is arguably playing better than a Deshaun Watson who has been guaranteed $230 million by the most desperate franchise in the NFL, making one of the most desperate moves. We've talked about how that was horrible for them. So that's just a little comparison there. Again, Deshaun Watson, a lower completion percentage, lower pass yards per game, less touchdowns, less interceptions, and also a slightly lower, kind of the same passer rating than Carson Wentz's last 8 NFL games. What'd you say?
Carson Wentz?
Yeah, Carson Wentz. That's player B.
Here? We might need to tell them to leave the live.
Man, that's going to be rough whether they're on the live or whether they see the video on the YouTube channel, man. But yes, Deshaun Watson's first 8 games back are definitely looking rough. Do you believe that Deshaun Watson, after this 8-game sample size with the Cleveland Browns, under Kevin Stefanski, post all of his off-field stuff, do you believe he can return to the Houston Texans form, or even something close to it, 65, 75, 80% of that?
Under Kevin, I just don't think it's going to work with him and Kevin Stefanski. Because it's just like, this scheme is just a lot different from what he was doing in Houston. You feel me? I don't really think Kevin's the coach. Like, they won a playoff game with him not even being on the sideline against Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
You feel me? And so did Baker. But what have the Browns done since Baker left? Since they scapegoated him and traded him away? Obviously, but Deshaun, you giving him $230 million to play like shit. I mean, like last year, I wasn't expecting him to play great. Cool. But eventually, how much time do I have to wait for Chai's quarterback? You feel me? I'm paying you $230 fully guaranteed. Like, I'm tired of waiting. And the crazy thing about it is that the Miami Dolphins and the Falcons really wanted this huge bullet.
Yeah,
it's like
so did the Saints.
Yeah, like, exactly. It's like, with Deshaun Watson, I feel like he kind of peaked. You feel me? Like, we keep talking about Watson bounce back. What if this is just the new Deshaun Watson?
Horrible. Bottom 5 quarterback in the league, if so.
Same thing with the Denver Broncos. Like, this is just the new Russell Wilson. Even with Sean Payton, Russell Wilson looks better, but he still isn't it. Deshaun Watson is so much younger. You expect him to be able to get. Maybe he just needs a new head coach. I think you fire Kevin Stefanski into this season. You bring again Lions offensive coordinator.
I heard you saying that.
Like, I really think that the Cleveland Browns are really attractive. People keep asking, what are you going to do with Deshaun Watson after this season? What the fuck do you mean? What are you going to do with Deshaun?
He's going to be right back underneath center, making his 60 a year.
Exactly. So you got to find a to make Deshaun look, serviceable. Same thing with the Denver Broncos. It's like the same situation, but the difference is that the Browns are in the AFC. And like I was telling people, like, all season was saying the Browns are going to be better than the Steelers. They're going to finish ahead of the team. I was like, okay, but they don't got
I had the Browns winning the AFC North strictly off their schedule. Strictly off the schedule of how the AFC North played out, I had the Browns winning 13 games. That was also expecting Deshaun Watson to be how he should have been.
Exactly. But you know why they need him to bounce back? The AFC, not just the
Yep.
AFC North. This is what I like. This is how I break it down. The AFC, you watch the NBA, right?
Yep.
The AFC in the NFL right now is equivalent to the Western Conference in the NBA.
Yes, sir.
You
Absolutely.
got some of the best quarterbacks. In the NFC, you don't have as many stacked teams. And you don't have the only elite quarterback in the NFC is Jalen Hurts. And then you got like solid Q, No Smith and Jared Goff. In the AFC, the teams that make it the furthest are the teams that back play with great overall teams and coaching. In the NFC, you can have a team like the Giants to the playoffs because the division is not that tough. But the teams that made it the furthest were the teams that had back play or either the good overall teams and roster with good coaching. You see what the Cleveland Browns roster, but they're lacking in two important areas. They don't got great quarterback play right now. Coaching doesn't look up to par, even though Jim Schwartz is coaching his tail off like that. That defense is
that defense is elite.
Yeah, like Jim Schwartz, he's doing God's work with that defense. But for Cleveland, Deshaun Watson is playing terrible. And Kenny Pickett is still the work in this division. You still need him to play at least at a top 15 level for you to be able in a division like this with Lamar and Joe Burrow, two top five. Lamar's like the top 5 quarterback. And in the AFC overall, it's like you got Trevor, like the best quarterbacks in the NFL mainly play in the AFC. Yeah, you have the Browns winning this division because you were expecting Deshaun Watson to play well. He's playing. So the Browns, of course, even if they got a great team, if he plays bad, they're not going to go anywhere. Point the finger at Stefanski because, of course, he had to okay this move. He had to say, yeah, like, give me Deshaun Watson. Fuck Baker. And Baker, it looks like he wasn't really all to blame. It's just the system.
Yeah. I love that you say, because when I first started podcasting years back, I said, coaching matters way more than talent in the NFL. The Patriots were never the most talented team in the league. Tom Brady was very mentally elite. See, you already know. Coaching is everything. Prime example, JT. Freddie Kitchens, with this same Browns roster, minus Deshaun Watson and a couple of players, blew it. 6-10, fired after the season. What the hell happens when Kevin Stefanski comes in? 11 wins, playoff win. Chad, anything is possible, has to throw to the fastest player in the NFL to escape a home playoff win against us. But the Browns is the Browns, right? Baker Mayfield regresses next season. Kevin Stefanski goes 8-8, 8-9, whatever it is. Then he falls to 6-11 because he doesn't have, literally his 11 losses, you could say, were because he did not have Deshaun Watson. Obviously, Deshaun has been 4-4 in his 8 games that he's been back in the NFL. But coaching is absolutely everything. Here's the thing, though. First of all, I want to talk about this real quick since you talk about Baker. The last 2 games, Baker Mayfield, 245 yards per game, 69.1% completion, 7.2 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 104.4 passer rating. Deshaun Watson's last 2 games as a Cleveland Brown, so this year. 194.5 yards per game, 55.1% completion, 5.6 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 69.1% passer rating. Just a little glimpse there on what Deshaun's done in his time in Cleveland versus what Baker did in his new home with the Bucs starting out. We know he gets traded to the Panthers, this, that, and the third. But I do believe Kevin Stefanski would be the one to do it because, correct me if I'm wrong, JT, but was Baker Mayfield's best year not under Kevin Stefanski in the first year where the coaching stepped in with the damn near same roster that Freddie Kitchens had, and they won a playoff game under Baker, right? So if Kevin Stefanski can do that with Baker Mayfield, and we'd like to assume that Deshaun Watson's ceiling is much higher than Baker's, maybe not now because of the way he's played through 2 games, but I think Kevin Stefanski would be the one to do it because Baker, after his little 7, 8, 9 lightning in a bottle games, which I've always thought that it was, They returned back to life. When Baker Mayfield had time, when he had a run game, when he had O-line, when he played with a lead, Baker Mayfield has a better passer rating playing with a lead than Justin Fields does. And maybe that's a little unfair to say, right? But Baker Mayfield with a lead, offensive line, run game, and maybe we could say that for every quarterback, right? You got him the right coach. OBJ gets out of town. He's throwing for 300 yards a game. He's got a 9-2 NFL record. Like Baker Mayfield came to be under Stefanski. Then he returned to Baker. Then Stefanski was like, okay, hell. Then it's Jacoby Brissett for a year. Then you get Deshaun Watson back after 11 games. So like this whole thing of maybe it's a different coach, different thing with Stefanski. I look at the whole situation from what Kevin's dealt with. And now he's got a Deshaun Watson who is unfortunately not performing. But you look at Alex Van Pelt. That was the offensive coordinator who came over in 2020, the year that they went to the postseason. And the offensive ranked the best it's been in over a decade. And realistically, over the past 20 years, that the Cleveland Browns were there. But Deshaun Watson clearly does not look like the same person anywhere he plays on the field, running, throwing, processing, pocket presence, fumbling, 2 15-yard face mask penalties from any player, let alone 2, let alone your quarterback. Oh, and not to mention the guy that's making the most money ever in NFL history and the biggest guaranteed contract of all time. Yeah, we've talked about that with Deshaun Watson with the Cleveland Browns.
Like he's pulling a masterclass heist you ever played, and you ever did like a bank or money heist, man. This is Deshaun Watson.
Get out.
He got the unlimited money. His job in the NFL. Yep. Show up every week, play like shit, and cash out at the game. And
that's right.
You know this.
All right. I get where you're going though. But Deshaun Watson with the Browns, 8 games, 4-4 record. So at least he's 500. 57% completion, 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 186 yards per game, a 76 passer rating. He has a 10.8% sack rating percentage, which is 31st behind only, drumroll please, Justin Fields, who we just got off of. And Justin Fields holds the ball longer than anybody besides Zach Wilson in the NFL. Through 2 games, Deshaun Watson has the highest miss rate in the NFL at 27.6%. So he's damn near missing 30% of his throws. Every third throw he puts out there, just about he's missing it. I guess every third and a third or third and a half throw that he puts out there, however you want to cut the fraction, he's missing his throws. So we know Deshaun Watson's not looking the same. It doesn't even look like he's running to create space. He's running to run. Like, did he really touch a football while he was off the field? I mean, do we know that Deshaun Watson actually practiced while he was off the field? Because it damn sure don't look like it. Some people are talking about how he was meditating on the sidelines, and we're like, damn. First of all, I believe in meditation. If you haven't meditated before, if you haven't just taken a moment to mentally dissect your day on a surface level occasion, it can help a lot. So I'm with Deshaun on meditating, but having the camera cut to him, knowing that Deshaun was actually doing that before a very turnover-prone game where he played absolutely horribly, you got people asking him, like, is he still in his head? And let's be real, right? The off-field stuff, being away from the game, essentially missing 33 NFL starts, almost about, 17, 11, 28 NFL starts. We're missing a 28-game sample size from Deshaun Watson's career when he last left at the peak of his career.